everyone. Welcome back to Podcast and Chill. I'm Mira, here with my co-host Jack.
Hi there. Today's topic is something that applies to absolutely all of us, our daily routine.
Yes, from the moment we wake up to when we drift off to sleep, we all have habits and rituals that shape our days. But what exactly does a typical day look like for different people?
That's a great question, Mira. Throughout this episode, you and I will be sharing our own routines, from our morning wake-up rituals to our after-work wind-down strategies.
Exactly. We will also be exploring some common themes, hidden mistakes, and tips to help you craft your own routine for a highly productive and balanced life.
Because let's be honest, sometimes we follow routines that actually drain our energy instead of boosting it. So let's start right at the beginning, our morning wake-up. Mira, how do you start your day?
Well, I usually wake up around 7 a.m. every morning. My alarm clock goes off, and the very first thing I do is force myself to turn it off without hitting snooze.
Oh, avoiding the snooze button is a massive victory right there. It is so tempting to just grab those extra 10 minutes.
It really is. But I found that snoozing just makes me feel groggy. So after turning it off, I immediately stretch my arms and legs to wake up my body. It sends a physical signal to my brain that the day has officially started.
That sounds like a very gentle and good way to start the day. I'm usually up a little bit earlier, around 6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m.? That takes some serious discipline. What is your secret to getting out of bed at that time?
Honestly, as soon as I hear my alarm, I just get out of bed immediately. No hesitation. But the real game changer for me is what I do next. The very first thing I do is drink a large glass of water to hydrate myself.
That's a great habit, Jack. Staying hydrated is so important, especially in the morning after going 7 or 8 hours without any fluids.
Exactly. A lot of people mistake morning fatigue for a lack of sleep, when in reality, their brain is just severely dehydrated. I don't even look at my coffee maker until I've had my water.
I need to start doing that. After I turn off my alarm and stretch, I like to take a few deep breaths before getting up. It helps me feel more alert and grounded.
Taking a moment to breathe and center yourself can make a huge difference in how you handle stress throughout the rest of the day. It is like setting a calm baseline.
It really is. So, what do you do after you hydrate, Jack? Are you immediately jumping into work?
Not at all. The next thing I do is head to the bathroom to wash my face with cold water and brush my teeth. The cold water is like a shock to the system. It helps me feel completely refreshed and ready to start.
I like to do the exact same thing. After my morning breathing, I go to the bathroom to freshen up. And then comes the most important part of my morning.
Let me guess. It involves caffeine?
You know me too well. I make a fresh cup of coffee. The smell alone is enough to help me wake up fully. Coffee is just an absolute must-have for me in the morning.
Coffee is a non-negotiable for millions of people, isn't it? But do you have any other morning habits while you drink that coffee?
Yes, actually. After I sit down with my coffee, I take a few minutes to plan out my day. I physically write down a to-do list and review my schedule to make sure I'm prepared for the tasks ahead.
That is a brilliant idea. Having a written plan for the day can really help you stay organized and intensely focused. If you don't plan your day, someone else will plan it for you.
So true. I try to identify my top 3 priorities. If I only get those 3 things done, the day is still a success. Well, it sounds like we both have our own unique ways of starting the day.
We do, but the common thread is that we both take intentional time to wake up, hydrate, and prepare mentally before rushing into the chaos of the world.
Exactly. Now that our morning routines are set, let's talk about the next massive chunk of our day, work and study time.
This is where a lot of people lose their momentum. As someone who works from home a lot, my work routine looks a little different than someone who commutes to a corporate office.
Okay, tell us more about your specific work routine, Jack. How do you avoid the endless distractions at home?
Well, the first thing I do after breakfast is head to my dedicated workspace. I don't work from the couch or the bed. I make sure my computer is turned on and that I have all the supplies I need right in front of me.
Having your workspace organized, clean, and ready can really help you feel focused and professional, even if you are just in the next room from your kitchen.
Exactly. Environment dictates behavior. Once my computer is on, I check my calendar and that to-do list we talked about earlier. I like to tackle my hardest, most complex task first thing in the morning when my brain is fresh.
Ah, eating the frog. That's a very smart approach. It is so important to have a solid plan, but also to build in some flexibility, just in case something unexpected comes up, like an urgent email or a sudden meeting.
Definitely, you have to adapt. What about you, Mira? How does your work routine look, especially when you have to balance so many different projects?
My routine is heavily reliant on time blocking. I start my workday by putting my phone in another room. If it's on my desk, I will inevitably check it.
That is such a crucial tip. The phone is the ultimate productivity killer.
It really is. Once I sit down, I work in 90-minute sprints. I focus intensely on one single project, no multitasking allowed. And just like you, Jack, I try to take meaningful breaks to recharge.
Meaningful breaks are key. Not just scrolling through social media, but actually standing up, walking around, or looking out a window to rest the eyes.
Exactly. It is so important to balance hard work with some intentional downtime to prevent burnout. But speaking of breaks, there is one specific break in the middle of the day that can either make or break your entire afternoon.
Oh, I know exactly what you were talking about. The infamous lunch break. We are going to talk about a deadly mistake people make at lunch that completely destroys their afternoon focus. But we will get into that right after this.
So, about that deadly mistake during the lunch break, it is all about what you put on your plate, isn't it?
You hit the nail on the head. So many people opt for a heavy, carb-loaded, or greasy lunch because it feels comforting in the middle of a stressful workday.
I used to be guilty of that. I would eat a huge bowl of pasta or a heavy burger, and by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was literally fighting to keep my eyes open at my desk.
That is the classic sugar crash. Your body is using so much energy to digest that massive, heavy meal that your brain just shuts down. It completely destroys your afternoon focus and productivity.
Exactly. Now, as a busy student, I try to keep my lunch pretty simple and light. I usually have a turkey sandwich on whole wheat or a hearty, nutritious bowl of soup.
That is a perfect choice. I like to have something healthy and light to keep my energy up without feeling sluggish. My go-to is usually a big spinach salad with grilled chicken or some fresh fruit.
And you know, Jack, it is not just about the food. The absolute biggest mistake people make is eating while staring at their computer screen or answering emails.
Oh, the sad desk lunch. It is terrible for your mental health. You have to physically step away from your workspace to give your brain a true, meaningful break.
I completely agree. I try to use my lunch break to relax and recharge emotionally. I like to find a quiet spot on campus where I can read a fiction book or just listen to some calming music.
That sounds incredibly peaceful. For me, I will take a short walk around the office building or do some light stretching outdoors. It helps clear my mind and gets me completely ready for the second half of the day.
The key is finding what works best for you. Everyone's lunch routine is a little different, but the important thing is to take that specific time to nourish your body and truly recharge your mind.
Absolutely. Having a good, intentional lunch break is such a crucial part of maintaining a healthy daily routine. But eventually, we all have to face the afternoon.
Ah, the afternoon. This can be a really challenging part of the day for a lot of people, especially when that dreaded 3 o'clock slump hits.
Definitely. For me, as a working professional, my afternoons tend to be full of meetings and collaborative projects. It requires a completely different type of energy than my deep, focused morning work.
Meetings, huh? What kind of meetings do you usually have to deal with in the afternoon?
All sorts of things. Team syncs, client video calls, brainstorming discussions about new creative ideas. It is important to stay sharp, so I always review my notes right after my lunch break to prepare.
I have some meetings too, like office hours with my professors or study groups for upcoming exams. It is a great way to stay connected and get help with complex concepts.
But how do you handle that inevitable drop in energy around mid-afternoon? Do you reach for another cup of coffee or an energy drink?
I actually try to avoid afternoon caffeine completely because it absolutely ruins my sleep later that night. Instead, I try to fit in some light exercise or physical activity.
That is a much better, healthier strategy. Movement creates energy.
Yes, I like to take a quick, brisk walk around campus or do some light stretching in the hallway. It helps me re-energize, gets the blood flowing, and helps me refocus before diving back into my heavy textbooks.
Same here. I often go for a short walk around the neighborhood if I am working from home, or I do a few simple yoga poses right by my desk. It clears the mental fog almost immediately.
It is all about finding those little ways to take care of ourselves, even when we are incredibly busy. Those micro breaks are essential for sustained productivity.
I could not agree more. Now, let's fast forward a bit. The workday is finally over. Dinner is done. Let's move on to an incredibly important part of our daily routines, the wind down and bedtime.
Having a good bedtime routine is so critical for getting a good night's sleep. If you don't sleep well, your entire routine the next day is completely ruined before it even starts.
Exactly. Sleep is the foundation of everything we talked about today. So, Mira, how do you signal to your brain that it is time to shut down and stop thinking about school?
As a student, my mind is usually racing with assignments and deadlines, so I really try to stick to a consistent bedtime routine. It helps me wind down and get ready for a restful night, rather than lying awake staring at the ceiling.
What does that transition look like for you? Do you have a specific cutoff time for studying?
I do. At 9 p.m., all laptops and textbooks are closed. No exceptions whatsoever. Then, I usually start by heading to the bathroom, brushing my teeth, and washing my face.
It is a simple thing, but it is such a powerful psychological trigger, isn't it?
It really is. It literally washes away the stress of the day. It helps me feel clean, refreshed, and ready to transition into full relaxation mode.
That is a great first step. I do the exact same thing. Brushing my teeth is the official start of my night routine. But what do you do after you leave the bathroom?
After that, I completely avoid screens. The blue light from phones, tablets, or TVs suppresses melatonin and tricks your brain into thinking it is still daytime.
That is a brilliant rule. Doom scrolling in bed is the worst habit you can possibly have for your sleep hygiene.
Absolutely. Instead of my phone, I like to read a physical paper book for a little while. I usually choose fiction because it helps me escape reality and truly relax and unwind before bed.
Reading is such a nice, quiet way to wind down. I actually do something very similar. I read a few pages of a book, or if my eyes are tired from staring at a screen all day, I just listen to some calming acoustic music or a guided sleep meditation.
Meditation is fantastic for calming a busy, anxious mind. And of course, the most important part, we both try to actually get into bed and turn the lights out at a reasonable, consistent hour every single night. Right?
Definitely. As much as we might want to stay up late, binge watching our favorite shows on Netflix, getting 7 to 8 hours of high quality sleep is absolutely vital for our physical health and mental well-being.
A good night's sleep is the ultimate life hack. It sets us up for massive success the very next day, making it so much easier to wake up and conquer those morning routines we talked about at the start of the show.
It is a continuous, beautiful cycle. When you master your evening routine, your morning routine becomes effortless. And when your morning is productive, you sleep better at night.
Well, listeners, that is all the time we have for today's episode. We really hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the psychology, mistakes, and habits behind daily routines.
Remember, there is no magic formula that works for absolutely everyone. The key is to experiment. Take the tips that resonate with your lifestyle and discover a personal routine that keeps you feeling energized, productive, and happy.
Exactly. And we want to hear from you. What is one habit in your daily routine that completely changed your life? Or what is a bad habit you are desperately trying to break?
Let us know in the comments section below. If you found this conversation helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a friend who might really need a routine reset.
Thanks so much for joining us on Podcast and Chill. Have an incredibly productive week, and we will see you next time.